to the live stream. It is about 10 minutes to 2 East Coast time. And let's take a look at what the indices have been doing. After having traded down, this is the Dow futures that we're looking at. 2 East Coast, the Dow futures that we're looking at, bounced, kind of did a double bottom off of this midpoint here, and then proceeded to trade back up into our area that it had just traded out of, and it coiled there for a little bit, and then just now, about 7 minutes ago, just now traded back down through the bottom trend line and is proceeding through this other point of resistance and support that I had plotted on this chart earlier today. So right now action is between this 90 and 250 period moving average. And if you were to pull up the NASDAQ, you'd probably see something similar, as well as the Russell. Now the Russell looks like it actually traded not only back into range but up through the top trend line and is now coming back down to hit that trend line. So this would be an interesting one to watch because it has resistance here. So my guess is there's a very good chance that the Russell is going to be our strongest contender today. I mean, it's already up, 65 basis points. So in terms of percentage move today, it's the strongest mover, both in the cash markets and the futures. But just because this trend line is here doesn't mean it has to abide by it. I mean, if there's enough downward momentum in U.S. equities across the board, no trend line is going to stop it from happening. But I think the one I'm most interested in watching right now is the Dow, just because it's the only one that's negative. Now VIX futures, or VIX and VIX futures are still up. They're up 1.34, but the VIX itself is down, a little more than the third of a percent. If we look at our other futures, here's the Australian dollar, here's the British pound, here is the euro. I don't know why these are all 1 hour. Hold on. So the euro actually traded up through a couple times, came back into range. And now we're starting to see a little bit more weakness in the Dow. Might want to take a short here. Probably put a tight stop on it. I don't want to give up. looked like it was gunning for this 200 period moving 250 period moving average rather. Didn't quite trail my stop down soon enough. I was hoping to hold on to a little bit more of that. But it did meet a little bit, it didn't quite touch. You know, if this were if I were to change this and make it the 200 period, it actually traded below it. Oh, come on. I'll be right back, folks. What up, what up, what up? Hey, dude.
What's up, dude? I don't think I'll try to feel for you, because I told you crap today. But if I don't have a fever, then maybe finish the next week. So, just keep on there.
Now look what crude did. We've talked about this before, but we've never seen it happen. And it didn't exactly move sideways through this apex here. But what it is doing is now that it's kind of past this point, I've talked about how, you know, sometimes you'll see something coil, and then if it comes sideways through here, it'll uncoil. Well, what it did different was it actually broke down through here, traded down a little bit, and then it bounced back up. You know, kind of hit this level. I mean, it did trade through it, and it stayed within this area until it broke back up through here. Actually broke up above this trend line, traded there a little while, closed a couple times, then traded back down, and now we're trading, you know, in between. So now we're uncoiling. Now, the thing about trend lines is you're not going to have perfect touches. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you see it, but you can't count on that. You can't necessarily count on, okay, well, it's closed above here, so it's definitely going to go up. So I can, you know, add some contracts and I'll walk away. No, you know, you can't. You still have to monitor it for continuation. But what this tells you is that possibly you've got a responsive trade. So if crude is going to trade down here, then you might play it for a bounce. Likewise, if it trades up to this level, you trade it for a rebound down. Right now, it looks like it's gone down as far as it's going to go. You know, it did bounce off of here, kind of. I mean, it's not a perfect touch again, but now we just traded this one. This is the mini Dow. Here's gold. Copper was trading between this price level and this trend line. It's now broken through the trend line, and it's now just really sort of moving sideways. We've already talked about the NASDAQ, we've already talked about the Russell, we've already talked about the Dow. This is the 10-year Treasury. I was thinking just now, today feels like a little bit more of a balancing day. So I thought I would put the monkey bars back up here, see if I'm right. So overnight was largely the case. Even a lot of today's action, the morning action, 7:30 open was about here, traded down, but then when it broke through this trend line, that also happened to be right around the bottom of the value area, which it's the value area now. I don't know what this value area looked like at this time because it changes as it develops as the day goes on. But what we do know is it broke down through what it basically is the current value area. Trade all the way down here, trade it back up into value. Now we're trading just above value. So the question, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for a breakdown below value. And another thing that's interesting is that for the last 2 days, the volume point of control and the time price opportunity point of control have been the same. And point of control is close, not exactly, but point of control is close to this apex right here, this cross. Or basically pushing against trend line. Now here the point of control is considerably lower on the TPO than the volume. This is where more of the volume has occurred. Now right now, if you can see it, price is staying really close to this moving average, staying really close to this resistance support level, staying really close to the bottom of value area. Starting to see bearish stochastic crossover potential on the tick chart and the minute chart, right here and here. Okay. I missed the trade because of some glitch in the software. $250 period MA here is still support. Now we're just getting a lot of boring sideways action. I think I'm going to cut the stream and turn it back on when there's an hour left in the trading day. That should be a little bit more exciting.